Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 319 of the MTGGoldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the full crew here this week. Kicking things off with the owner of MTGGoldfish, Richard. How's it going this fine Monday, Richard?
Hey Seth, doing well. What's up?
Not much. Just excited to talk some Magic. We have some, I guess, interesting topics for today. Some arena stuff, some paper stuff. But before we get to that, we got another co-host in Krim. What's up, Krim?
I'm, also just perfectly here and there. There are some things that I'm really excited to talk about today, and yet some things that are also kind of a bummer. That is arena related.
Yeah, so our big topics for today, of course, first, we got the rest of Time Spiral Remastered. So we're kind of going to wrap up the full set of Time Spiral Remastered, share some thoughts on that, the rest of the cards that came out. And then we got the announcement of a new historic anthology, which is releasing, I think this week actually, like Wednesday or Thursday after downtime.
I think it's Thursday. Usually it's Thursday.
All right, that sounds about right to me. So coming this week, either way, and we're going to talk about the new historic anthology, and then, of course, answer some fish mail. So that is the overview for today. Before we get into that, a reminder that our show today is brought to you by Card Conduit. And if you've ever tried to buy lister cards, it's not a lot of fun. It takes a lot of time. It's a big hassle. You got to sort everything. You got to type everything. You got to ship everything. Well, Card Conduit is the easiest way to sell your cards. And if you want to avoid all those hassles and avoid all the time it takes to sell your cards, this new service from the folks over at Card Hoarder will sort, grade, and sell your Magic cards for you, and once your shipment is processed, you'll get the proceeds minus their fee. And right now you can get a 10% discount by going to cardconduit.com/goldfish. So thanks to Card Conduit for supporting the show. And let's talk some Magic. Let's start with Time Spiral Remastered. Richard, we probably can't go over the full set. We have so many cards from last week, but what else did we get that is important since last time we podcasted from Time Spiral Remastered?
All right. I don't know about importance, so I'll go by price. From the main set. So last week we had, Azorius colors, and then also maybe a little black snuck in there. So the rest of the cards were released. The most expensive card in the set, from the main set proper, is Sliver Legion. 5C Sliver, very popular, hasn't seen a reprint since forever. Damnation we talked about last week. Gemstone Caverns up there. Tarmogoyf for the sadistic players. Pact of Negation we talked about. Akroma's Memorial, Vesuva, Urborg. Seth's Invitational card, Panharmonicon. Abrupt Decay, Gauntlet of Power. Magus of the Moon. Cloud Key, shockingly expensive. For the old border cards, headlining the old border cards, Thoughtseize, Chalice of the Void, Kiki Jiki, Leyline of the Void, Yawgmoth, Primeval Titan, Arcades, Vanquisher's Banner, Young Pyromancer, Path to Exile, we talked about that, Monastery Swiftsphere, Vandal Blast. Those are, so all the cards I listed were basically currently like above $10 pre-sale. And the two most expensive cards are Old Border Thoughtseize and Sliver Legion.
Yeah, I mean, this is a weird set to me. I really love this set, but I also have like a lot of connection to it. I loved Time Spiral Limited the first time around. It's one of my favorite sets to draft, so that excites me. It's got a lot of cool cards I like, even the ones that aren't expensive, just like random Vencers and so forth. I just really like those cards, and I love the old border theme. On the other hand, I feel like this is maybe the narrowest master set they've ever printed. Like the main set has this big restriction, which I think left some people a little bit disappointed because you can only reprint stuff from Time Spiral block. Like that's the gimmick of this set. So you don't just get random expensive like Karns or Jaces or whatever. And then I guess I was kind of surprised at how many people just don't care about old borders. Like it's actually very divisive. You have some people that are like, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm going to buy so many of these. And then you got other people that are just like, like, I don't care anything about this. So I feel like this is way narrower than like double masters or something. It's just like, oh, here's a bunch of generically good expensive cards. Like, even if you don't want to spend money on a box, at least you're going to get a bunch of like good cards at a discount. I feel like Time Spiral Remastered is really weird and narrow for a master set. Like, so I'm hyped for it, but I've been surprised that the overall reaction from the community is a little more like lukewarm, I think, than I expected.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, theoretically, this should appeal to me, but there's just too many. I think Old Border would have been much better as like a 5 or 10 card secret lair, right? Like, I think it cheapens it a bit when we start seeing things like, I don't know, Arch of Araska. Like, really?
Secret plans.
Like, you know, the Thoughtseize will be a chase card. It's a premium card. I can understand that, right? But because we have like so many Old Border cards, right? And especially like Old Border cards that are new, like Lorwyn Thoughtseize is like kind of old, kind of fits. But when we have something printed like last year in the Old Border, you're like, that's just not right. So I don't know. Like, there's something off about it. I'm not hype about it. I'm not going to replace any of my cards with Old Border. I think it also made me realize that I'm not an Old Border enthusiast. I'm an original printing enthusiast. So you got to go with the original printing if it's older than the Old Border. So I don't know. So it doesn't really appeal to me. And it's just very narrow. Like, you can just think of it as like a weird master set, right? But for some reason, it just feels off. And I think the community excitement reflects that somehow. It's like a marketing fail somehow. Like, people just don't care about Time Spiraled. Like, if you called it Modern Masters or I don't know what this was, like Legacy Masters or something, 4 or something, like, would people be more interested in it even if it was the exact same cards?
Maybe. Like, that might be part of it, I guess. What do you think about the set, Crib, now that we've actually seen the whole thing?
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is just really not a product for me. The more I see it from it, like, the only thing I want from it is just the Thoughtseize. I don't think I want a single other thing here, and I don't know why it is the way it is. And maybe, and I have a good idea why. I mean, I had mentioned it in the last cast. I really feel like I'm more of just not like amazed by it because of all the sweet borders that have come out recently. So I think I've gotten a little spoiled to that. You know what I mean? We have like even like Amonkhet borders. You know what I mean? Like, all of that stuff is like funny, and Amonkhet borders I don't think look amazing. They look funny, and that's why I like them. It's just like, these are goofy looking cards, but like, there's a charm to it. You know, in a weird way, there's this charm to how weird it looks. This is just like, yeah, it exists, and it's just not for me. So, I mean, I'm sure there are people that really like this. Like, yeah, Seth, you probably love this, but I don't know. It just, I legitimately just cannot get pumped for this just because of how many other wild borders have come out since the last X amount of years.
I will say, I think that there is good news in all this, and that is the set is already making some important cards cheaper. Like, even if you just go by pre-sale prices, which are probably still inflated, like Sliver Legion's $60. It was $150 before the reprint was announced. You have like Gemstone Caverns is under 40. It was like 65. And then you have like Cloud Keys under 10, and it was 35. So
or Heartwood Storyteller was an expensive card.
Yeah, that I do not really understand why. I guess
Commander?
Pug decks play it a little bit, but it's not even that heavily played in Commander, I don't think.
Not normally, but I think I just remember, because like when I was building a Commander deck, this card was like randomly over like $20 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's also partly, I think it was never reprinted before.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the ones that like it only had a future sight printing, so the supply was pretty low. But yeah, I feel like this set's going to do good work on that end at least. Like, at least you're going to get a discount on stuff, even if you're someone who doesn't care about Old Border, isn't interested in buying a box and like playing the lottery to open like a sweet Old Border card or whatever. At least you get, you know, cheap Sliver Legion for your Sliver deck, or Cloud Key for your Sensei's Divining Top combo list or whatever. So it is doing some work, I think, as far as keeping prices in check, which is one of the important things that a master set could do. But I don't know. I guess based on this experience, what do you think about more of these? Like, the closest thing we've really had to comparison, I think, is there was like Tempest Remastered on Magic Online a while ago. And I think that mostly flopped. We have had remastered sets on Arena, But those are like kind of necessities just to get the cards on the client. They're not really reprints on Arena. They're like adding new cards that aren't on the client, so they're a little bit different. Do you want like Innistrad Remastered or Original Zendikar Remastered, or based on Time Spiral Remastered, are you like, just like make normal master sets or whatever?
I would say make more just like normal master sets, because I mean this way you're not stuck to just only Time Spiral stuff, right? I mean you can have like, let's just say hypothetically, like fetch lands or whatever. You can add a lot more in. I don't know what exactly an Innistrad remaster would look like on paper. They'd have to do some like cool new spooky vampiric border or something like that. But
Old border.
Yeah.
Border.
I mean, sure. That could be another thing they could do. But you know, I kind of was hoping that this set was going to be everything would get the old future sight border. That would have been interesting.
What if it's white border, Crim? Will that win you over?
That would win me over. I would love to see white border cards again. So I think I would love. Oh my gosh. I don't know who else would buy that but me though. So I think that's I'm a very niche market when it comes to that.
I was gonna say, like, there's not enough good, like, imagine they remove the old border cards from this set and just only took cards from Time Spiral block. There's like simply just not enough good cards, right? So I really do think this should have been a secret lair. Like, I also think part of the problem is certain cards look really good in old border because they have that like weird old magic art, right? Like Thoughtseize is a card, or like Kiki Jiki is a card. You could have seen like it was actually drawn in like 1998 or whatever this was supposed to be. Where when you look at like Chalice of the Void, you're like, clearly that's like new magic art, right? And it doesn't really match as much. So it would have been better if they put new art on the cards too, to match like the weird zany old magic art. And even better if they printed with the old templating, right? Like, I'm pretty sure all these cards have new Oracle text, right? Like, if they added the old tap symbol or things like that, I think it would add a different dimension to these cards. But I think either way, like, Innistrad Remastered, like, I guess you could draft one of the greatest draft formats ever again. But, like, other than that, like, who cares, right? Just give me the Secret Lair Liliana and call it a day, right? Give me the Secret Lair Snapcaster and that's it. Like, what other cards are there from the set, right? Like,
I did like because like Richard, you had mentioned how they should add some of the older stuff. I did like the old Tombstone or whatever next to like a flashback spell, like Lingering Souls has it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very nice touch. Not enough to like sell the whole set for me, but like a very nice touch. But I like the idea of a secret layer. I think the idea of like a secret layer old border, that is something cool. I also think for some odd reason, gold cards and black cards just look so much better in the old border than all the other ones. Like, if you look at like a Thoughtseize, a Tasker, or like the Dovin's Veto, all that looks so much better than the other ones.
Yeah, I think black and gold border are two of the best looking old border, because I think white actually looks pretty bad in old border, which I guess just another thing, the text just kind of like blends in and you can't read it. So I guess another thing that white is worst at. I think the other thing about the old border cards is I don't think they're obviously exciting to more casual players, because if you look at them, they are a list of cards that are played in essentially every format. Wizards did a really good job, I think, making sure that outside of maybe secret plans, that every card that's in old border, it's playable somewhere. Someone's playing in Commander or Pauper or Legacy Vintage. But if you look at them from more of like a value perspective, a lot of them are cards that their original printings are super cheap. Like Thoughtseize is maybe the exception, but you have a lot of cards that are like, oh, I can buy a version for like 50 cents or $1. And the gimmick is like, oh, it's going to be expensive because it's old border and some people really want that. But if you're someone who's not like super into Magic and super into old borders and Legacy and stuff, when you just read over the list of old border cards, I could see how someone would be pretty meh. Like, you're a Meg Angler. Why is that $7? Like, I can pick one up, from Draft Shaft in my LGS for 25 cents or whatever. So I feel like that maybe keeps the excitement down a little bit too. And I feel like the same thing happens to some extent with the main set. Like, you don't have the oh, I'm getting like Path to Exiles and Fatal Pushes and like top tier commons and uncommons, because there's only so many that exist within one block. And they did get all the good commons and uncommons from Time Spiral block, but that's not as much as a typical master set. So I could see how someone at a glance, if you're not in love with the old border, would kind of look at this set and just be like, like whatever, like I don't really care. The other thing I wanted to mention is there's been a little debate about the foil old border cards, and they're going to be super expensive, which I think is fine. This isn't a complaint. Like, those are the kind of cards I want to be expensive. Like, I could care less. If you want to print promo lands and sell them for $1,000 a piece in secret lair drops, who cares? Like, you can get lands for 25 cents. And I feel like it's fine with the old border cards too, because there are easily available versions, but apparently you're only going to open any individual old border foil card once in every 91 boxes on average. That's like
boxes?
More than 10 boxes. Yes, it takes, if you want foil old border ponder, it's going to take 91 boxes on average to get the foil old border ponder. You're going to get roughly one old border card per box in foil, but there's so many of them to get the specific one you want. It's going to take a long time. It's over like $10,000 worth of product being opened at wholesale prices to get a single copy of that old border ponder. So people have been like kind of mathing it out, and there's probably going to be actually very similar to like Alpha Black Lotus type supply, like maybe a couple thousand of each of these in existence when it's all said and done. So I think people are going to be absolutely shocked at just how expensive some of those cards are, which, I mean, I guess it's bad if for some reason you really want those cards, but it's also, I guess, going to kind of make opening boxes fun, because you're going to have these like lotto tickets, and if the one foil old border card you get is like Ponder or Thoughtseize or something, it probably pays for your entire box and then some.
Seth, I don't know what lotto ticket. Yeah, that what lotto ticket you're talking about, Seth. I don't really understand that. I'm just gonna open secret plans every time. And then
you're gonna get a Pringle in like 2 weeks. Will it curl? That is the question.
Oh, I don't know if you saw this, getting off topic a little bit. There's been a bunch of stuff about foil secret layers curling, and someone on Reddit like reached out to Wizards customer service and tried to return it, and Wizard was just like, nope, nope, we don't, that's not an option. Like, sorry, your cards are super curled, but
really, I thought they used to exchange them.
Yeah, apparently secret layer cards aren't covered from curling.
Wow.
So then there was a whole like, should you try to charge back your credit card? Because Wizard said no, was this big conversation. So yeah, that's still happening. And
oh my gosh,
I don't know.
This is this is so.
Did you
weird.
see the Commander Legends post about some store, like they buy list foils, and then so when they receive them, they flatten them out, and then they put them back in a box, and then he shows, or the poster shows the box, and then there's like Zendikar Rising or something, they're all flat, right? And then there's like a chunk of like all the other sets are flat, and then there's this big chunk in the middle of like Pringles and like wavy cards, and he's like, this is where all the Commander Legends cards are, and they just like curl up again after you straighten them out. So it's not looking good. Like, I think that's one of the biggest issues, right? Like, you don't know if it's a good foil or not. Right, so would you really risk it on like what do you think the price of foil Thoughtseize will be?
Oh my god,
500,
plus dollars. Yeah.
Are you gonna roll the dice on whether it's a Pringle or not? And remember, who's gonna buy these? So probably EDH players. I don't even play Thoughtseize in EDH, or Legacy Vintage. And how are you ever gonna play this in a tournament? Right, playing a foil in a tournament, like a foil that doesn't even curl, is a no-no. Let alone a foil that might curl, right? So I don't know.
It is a little concerning that the whole like foil curling thing has been a big conversation for years now, and it's kind of getting worse. Like, apparently Commander Legends is as bad as it gets as far as curling. And then I've heard a lot of that about Kaldheim Collector's boosters too, that people have had a lot of issues with the foils from Kaldheim Collector boosters. So it seems like we're somehow still going in the wrong direction when it comes to foils curling, which, yeah, it doesn't give me a lot of faith with buying a $500 foil border Thoughtseize, or I don't know. Do you even buy foil secret layers anymore? Either one of you? Like, if you have the option,
No.
do you just always get non-foil? Like, so your cards are maybe playable?
I
think
have
Grim
the
buys
foil.
foils, right?
Yeah, I buy the foil ones, but I'm telling you, I don't know how it is, like how I've gotten so lucky then, because example, the most recent Secret Lair drop, the one that came with Shred Harder, the Seb McKinnon set, right? So I got the Seb stuff in foil. I got all of that in foil, and it's all fine. The only thing that's warped for me that's like ridiculously pringled are the stained glass planeswalkers. All my stained glass planeswalkers and like the Bob Ross Evolving Wilds are very curled. But outside of that, like because those cards I don't really care about. The main cards I care about are like the Seb ones, and those are flat as ever. And I don't know if it's because of maybe the humidity or something that I have my cards in, which isn't really a plan thing. I don't know.
You live in like one of the driest parts of the of the country, perpetually in drought. It's the humidity.
Yeah.
Rip the guy in like Florida.
Honestly, yeah, like rip the person in Florida, but like where I'm at, like maybe because in California, I don't know the weather. How is it possible that all my secret layers are still flat? You know what I mean? Like they're still fine.
That is kind of weird. I think it does depend to some extent on where you're at and like how much humidity there is. I always have a pretty rough go with my foils, at least recently. So, but I also live in, upstate New York where there's a lot of lakes and it gets pretty humid in the summer. So I guess that makes sense that I would have issues with it. But
you only live in the part of the country where like half of the country's population is concentrated in, Seth. Like, don't worry about it.
See, but like it's weird, right? Like, I mean, that has to be the only factor because even my my foil scroll rack is still good from Commander Legends.
It also depends on how you store your cards, right? Like if you like pack them like super tight and put them in a box, then they won't curl.
I just put them in a binder.
Oh, my scatter them randomly throughout the house technique does not seem to prevent curling.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I have like a desk that just has like to the right of my main streaming desk that has like a bunch of cards up, right? Just like laying around. And those aren't curled either. So, I mean, I don't know. And they're not in anything. They're not in a sleeve. So.
You need to evolve as a Magic collector. You know how museums, they like have the perfect temperature and humidity and everything to preserve all the artifacts? We need this for our Magic cards.
With the gloves that we'd put on like as we're about to like extract a diamond or something like that.
Oh, okay, we're totally off topic. So what the final consensus is $500+ on a Thoughtseize. Does that mean like a Ponder is $500 too? Right? A foil one. Because they're technically equal rarity, right?
Yeah, and Ponder has a lot of demand. I guess I bet Ponder would be a little bit cheaper. Actually, I don't know, because Ponder sees more Commander play. I think Thought sees more 60 card format play than Ponder, because Ponder's banned in Modern. But Ponder does see a lot more Commander play. So I bet Thoughtseize is a little more expensive, but I think that Ponder will also be. Like, I think that it's going to be at least like masterpiece prices. I expect the good ones to be several $100s, and even the bad ones, I would expect the floors on foils have got to be like $15, $20. Like for even for your like secret plans or whatever, just based on scarcity alone, like I think it's going to have some amount of value. I think if you want an oddball prediction, I think the foil Waste might end up the most expensive foil old border card in the set. Because that's one that if you're playing a colorless Commander deck, you need like 10 copies. And if there's only a couple thousand copies in existence, it does not take that many like whale Commander players or like, I'm going to foil out my whatever, Kozilek deck or something to just eat up the entire supply of foil old border Waste. And it sees like Eldrazi Tron play and whatnot in Modern.
I mean, I do like that Field of Ruin.
The Field of Ruin looks sweet.
Yeah.
The lands look good in the old border, I think.
Also, just like one more thing before we shift. Mystic Sanctuary, Simian Spirit Guide, those sound familiar, don't they? Like some announcement recently.
I think Wizards clearly did not know that they were going to be banning those cards when they were making Time Spiral Remastered. Because, it was a little funny to be like, it's another card that they just banned. Dreadhorde Arcanist got banned in Legacy. And so, kind of strange how many banned cards showed up in Old Border.
I refuse to play Old Border Mystic Sanctuary. You cannot pollute the Old Border with like 2019 Magic design. you just cannot. Like, it's already bad enough that like normal Mystic Sanctuary shows up in old formats, But to infiltrate the old border, like that's not cool, man.
I really like Master Pearl Tridents in Old Border, because now you can like have all your Old Border lords together in your whatever janky Legacy Merfolk deck, and same with like Elvish Mystic. Like that's a natural fit. Those are the ones I'm most excited about. Or like if you're playing a deck that's mostly like Old Border Legacy cards, but you have to play like M10 or whatever Elvish Mystic, that's like a little bit awkward. So I feel like they did a pretty good job with some of those legacy decks. There's also like a ton of like Death and Taxes cards, so you can play almost all Old Border Death and Taxes now. So I feel like they had some good hits in there, but also some that are a little more questionable. Do you think Commander players care? Like, is this something
ex-legacy Commander players?
Yeah,
but is it even bling anymore? Like, do you think the average Commander player will consider the Old Border cards bling, or are they just going to wait until these cards inevitably show up in like those new like Japanese versions reading in Strixhaven, or a Secret Lair with some ridiculous design? Like, are these even like interesting enough to count as bling?
I mean, it depends on the Commander player, right? If it's a newer Commander player, let's just say for the sake of, I don't know, they started in 2019 forward, probably not. They're probably going to, I would say that's more of the crowd that's waiting for like the Strixhaven fancy arts, right? But then if you're talking about the person that's, you know, like Richard mentioned, like the legacy vintage players that also have a Commander deck, they're going to want these.
Yeah. I'm going to say they're not going to be popular, because I think if you have a Commander deck, you're going to want like the most styles in your deck. And instead of dropping like, you know, extra money for an Old Border card, you can just play like an actual Old Border card, right? Like a common or uncommon, and get the same effect for your entire deck. So I don't think you would need to do that. I would rather like have like a Strixhaven Thoughtseize or something in the deck, right? And then have some other random common or uncommon be the Old Border card. So I think you just want variety, right? I don't know that you want an entire Commander deck in Old Border.
Yep.
Like, I don't know that would be a thing. That's something like legacy players would do, or vintage players, right? Because they're like, look, my deck is 80% Old Border, and then the 20% New Border like sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't like it. I'll fix it. But I think Commander players just want every single promo, right? So they can keep buying new Secret Lairs, throwing in like, you know, the Metal theme and the Strixhaven theme and the Eldraine border, stuff like that. So they just want variety. So I don't know that you would go buy 10 wastes. Right, you'd rather have like one Secret Lair waste,
10
one
extremely expensive
waste.
wastes, by the way. Like to see, like I don't know if I would pay, let's just say, I don't know, a silly amount of money for that Old Border Ponder when I could just have a Mystical Archive opt. I don't care which opt it is. Even if it is not the same card, I would just choose the cooler opt art over that.
Interesting. I have not gotten to the point where I will play worse cards just because I like the art better.
Oh yeah, I play Shadow Mage Infiltrator, and I know this is gonna be blasphemy, but I do like the Modern Masters one too, because it's very Dimir looking. So I play that in a deck that has no need for a Shadow Mage Infiltrator.
Finko's gonna come to your house, Chris.
I know. I'm sorry, but the thing is, you know what? I still have my foil Odyssey Shadow Mage Infiltrator that I since forever, and I still love that card.
So,
all right,
good news. Old Border Solemn has the original invitational art.
True.
So they actually like reversed their decision. I don't know, it's like a licensing issue or something, but they somehow got the original art on Solemn, which this is like the first time they've like reprinted invitational art.
Which is pretty
I'm
sweet.
glad. That would have been awkward to do the Old Border and have it be not the original version. But
and I'm a fan of the box topper Solemn, the whatever the full art one from M21. That looks like it's 2001 Space Odyssey.
All right, one other question to segue into our second topic. Now that we've seen this whole set, is there any reason that you can think of that this couldn't have been released on Arena as a draftable set that added to Historic? Like, when I look over this set, there may be a couple of Old Border cards like True Name Nemesis. You'd be like, yeah, that's probably not a great idea. But really, the main set, at least, I think it would just be fine, right? Is there any reason this set couldn't have been added to Historic on Arena?
No, I literally, there's no card here. Like, legitimately, I think the most concerning cards are, True Name Nemesis, maybe like Past in Flames and like Lava Spike. Like that's legitimately it. At least from like the like if we're including all the, you know, old border cards too. Other than that, I mean, Damnation should have already been in the format a long time ago. I still think cards like, I don't know, Swords to Plowshares could be in Historic. So yeah, this whole set could have just pretty much been on Historic.
Yeah, I wonder why they don't do that. Like, why wouldn't you throw it on there? I feel like, and this kind of leads us to our next topic, which is Historic Anthologies 4. We got the list for it, but I kind of feel like, in general, Wizards might be being too conservative with Historic in a lot of ways. Like, I kind of feel like if they're going to add Pioneer to Arena, that what we want to have happen is have Pioneer be like the in-between format, and then have Historic kind of be like Legacy of Arena, so to speak, where kind of anything goes and you can just play everything. And I feel like with not putting Time Spiral Remastered on Arena, and then also the card list we got for Historic Anthology 4, Wizards is playing it really safe, it feels like, with Historic right now.
I mean, yeah, like Historic, which kind of feels weird, right? Because the power level of everything in Historic, they're too afraid to put some stuff in. Like why not Path to Exile? Why not that instead of like Decking Stone? Like, come on, right? Like,
I guess we might be getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Richard, why don't you tell people what is actually coming in Historic Anthologies 4, and then we can dig into it a bit more.
All right. Starting later this week, March 11th, Historic Anthologies 4 comes to Arena. 25 new cards. Okay. And you can buy them as a bundle for 4,000 gems or 25,000 gold. So we have Triumphant Reckoning. Do you know what that card does? I don't either.
I played it in all my commander decks.
Do you actually?
Yeah. If it has white, look what it returns. It plays everything I love.
At 9 mana, but it does have Karn in it. Okay, so Declaration in Stone, Thraben Inspector. Those are the white cards. We have graveyard cards and Think Twice, Spider Spawning, and Adorned Pouncer. And then blue cards, Iceberg, Cantrix, Merit Lage's Slumber. Next, Sword of Body and Mind, Goblin Gaveleer, Bone Splitter, Torment of Scarabs, Flameblade Adept, Faith of the Devoted, Liz Alana Huntmaster, Abomination of Llanowar, Inspiring Statuary, Cold Steel Heart, Blinkmoth Nexus, Hamza Guardian of Arashin, Amit Eternal, Sawtusk Demolisher, Harmless Offering, Collected Conjuring, and finally, Death Shadow.
So,
what is this list, guys? That is my question to you.
Let's talk about that here. First off, the whole equipment thing is a meme, right? Like that like, really? Goblin Gaveleer, Bone Splitter? Also, why
even the sword is like the worst. Like that's if you could pick any of the sword cycle that would not see play in Historic, it's Body and Mind.
Yeah, of the swords, that is actually the worst sword you could have. And then like a lot of it is just stuff that should have already been in Amonkhet Remastered, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that kind of just feels like weird. Why? I will say though, there are some big players that are coming into the format. Like Thraben Inspector is going to be really big. That is one of the things that I'm excited to keep an eye on. Blinkmoth Nexus, Inspiring Statuary, Harmless Offering, Death Shadow, and of course, the thing that I am the most excited for out of all 24 cards, Think Twice. Now
that is a very crim card.
Yeah, is it good? Like, look, let's be honest here. I'm paying 5 mana over like an X amount of turns here to draw an additional card, but it's too many good memories for me to say no to playing Think Twice. I'm pretty sure, like, what is it? The inventory card is actually just strictly better.
This is so like Boober Magic. Think Twice. Are we still trying to do this in 2021?
Look, you just wait, Richard, until end of turn. Think Twice. Oh baby, end of turn.
You got me.
Flashback. Think Twice. I curved out. That's a control curve on 2 and 3. Just saying.
The flashback costs us the same as Uro. So essentially they're the same.
Okay, all right, fine. It's a little bit boomer magic, but whatever. Let me be old and boomer, Elsa. Like, let me enjoy my thing twice. Okay, let me cast it and then lose.
So this historic anthology, I think it's probably the weakest edition as far as cards that are actually going to like impact historic. There's some that are decent, I think, like Deck and Stone. I'm still a little disappointed by it because I also would like to see even better, like Path to Exile or Swords of Plowshare style removal. But Deck and Stone, probably better than what White has access to now. So that'll see play. Thraben Inspector doesn't look like much, but it's always way better than you think. And then people are going to try Death Shadow. Whether or not it actually like becomes really good without fetch lands sort of remains to be seen. Krim mentioned Blink Moth. Maybe some of the elves can show up in the elf deck. But I think there's a couple of things. One is,
Mardu
I counted it up.
Come on,
I believe,
Seth.
yeah. Oh, Harmless Offering is fun. That's like the fun build around from the set. And I'm not going to complain, even though Harmless Offering, it's not going to be a top tier card, but I want those like fun build around cards. I was hoping they'd do like Battle of Wits. I still hope they add that at some point because I think that would be hilarious to try. But Harmless Offering, giving Demonic Pact away is definitely
9
sweet.
lives. Mardu, right? That's why you give that and 9 lives away. There's of course a lot of things that can go wrong where like they actually keep the 9 lives and like you never kill them because of it, but that's a minor detail.
They have Solemnity in their deck randomly.
They came ready.
But I do feel like this is a pretty weak set. I would not personally recommend buying this one. I think probably just like use your wild cards and craft the cards that you need is because it just has a lot of cards that I don't think are really going to see meaningful play. So I feel like buying the like bundle from the store probably a bad plan. I do have a theory though, and my theory is we know that Strixhaven's coming pretty soon, like we're a month away from Strixhaven or something, and we know that that's going to have all those special cards. I think they said 50 some, and we were seeing like demonic tutors and some pretty crazy stuff. So I feel like, what do you think? Is Wizards thinking, okay, Historic's going to get a big shakeup when we release all these cards with Strixhaven, so we're going to take it easy with this anthology because we already know the big shakeup is coming?
I mean,
no, they're preemptively banning all the good cards, right? Demonic Tutor is banned from Historic, is it not?
Yeah.
Demonic Tutor is banned, but I mean, we have 50 of those cards coming, and presumably they said that most of them or almost all of them will be legal. So I assume we're going to get, even though it's not literally Demonic Tutor, but I assume we're going to get
take the 10 most expensive
stuff.
chase cards, ban them all, and then you're in like the draft chaff territory. Those ones are coming to Historic, right?
Check it out. Opt, baby. It's finally on Arena.
better than Ponder, according to Krim.
I know.
I
Okay,
feel
better
like
artwork.
our idea of Historic is different than Wizards' idea of Historic. Given the cards they're adding, right? They're like Goblin Gaveleer. That's what we want players to be building, right?
I mean,
what is the explanation for these cards? Like, these
well,
cards wouldn't beat like a pure standard deck, right? You would expect these to be like all stars from their respective periods or go into like a very like tight synergistic deck. And then you see Bone Splitter and you're like, what?
Richard. If you don't see the synergy, do you see that type there? It says Goblin. Do you know a deck that could use that? You laugh now, but when there's enough chieftains, that trample's gonna hurt. Okay.
They should have at least put that commander Bone Splitter that you always try to build around, Richard. Like that would have been fun. The one that copies itself. That would have been
axe.
a sweet build around.
The axe?
Yeah.
Bloodforged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on a client that you can actually efficiently keep track of how many axes you have.
And I mean, like, there's 2 mythics, right? I think Triumphant Reckoning and the Sword, and they're both horrible. Like they're just like, they're really bad. Triumphant Reckoning, like, sure, it's a fine commander card, but for Constructed, commander doesn't exist on Arena. For Constructed, is that better than like the Abzan Ultimatum? I don't even really think it is. It's like way more mana, and so I feel like that's a dud. And Sword of Body in Mind, the only thing I can say to defend it is maybe Wizards is thinking about putting the swords into Historic, and they took like the absolute worst possible sword and we're like, all right, we'll test it out with this, see what happens. Like if no one plays it, then we can go on to like some real swords that someone might play and it'll probably be fine. Like,
what if this means
we know no one will play this, right?
Yeah.
Like milling your opponent is actively bad. You don't want to do that. Imagine if Uro was still in the format, like GG. Right?
But you get protection from
the
Uro.
2 weakest removal colors, green and blue.
You just wait. Green Doomblade is coming this set. You know it.
It probably will. Probably will be. That does not sound as much like a joke as I would like it to be. The other criticism I have of this is so many of the cards. I actually mathed it out. I think 6 of the 25 were cards that Wizards should have put into recent remastered sets, either Amonkhet or Kaladesh remastered, and it really sort of rubs me the wrong way that I spent hundreds of dollars opening those remastered sets so I could build decks. And then the cards that were excluded are now you got to pay more money to get them, not from your packs, but as part of Historic Anthology, or spend more wild cards. So that kind of rubs me the wrong way too. Like I really don't understand why they excluded cards from these remastered sets just a couple of months ago. Like, I remember everyone asking, like, oh, where's Inspired Statuary? That's one of the biggest misses from Kaladesh Remastered. And then I gotta spend rare wildcards on it now because apparently it wasn't an issue that it's too good for Historic or that it was too hard to program or something, because now here it is 2 months later.
Yeah. I mean, that's the bit. Like, so what is it? 5 cards are from the Amonkhet block. 5.
I think it's 5 from Amonkhet and one from Kaladesh, Inspiring Statuary from Kaladesh.
And there's 24 cards, so that's 6 to. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's
almost a quarter of the set.
Yeah,
like almost 25% of the cards could have been in recent remastered sets.
I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna just have to assume that, like, maybe you're right. Maybe because of the huge boost of power that Historic's gonna get with Strixhaven, that's why we're not seeing them, these things. But if that's the case, why not just, you could literally just choose better cards. Like, I still don't see why we don't have the cons command cycle. We're bringing back commands, right? So maybe
that would have been flavorful.
Right? Like, we're already bringing back commands. So either if they're not already going to be a part of the Mystic Archives, which could be possible since commands are coming back, then why not put them in here? Because I think, like, come on, Colligan's command, it's not going to break Historic.
Like tinfoil hat theory time. I think Wizards doesn't want Historic to be good.
Oh, come on, Richard. Really?
Like, for real, right? Because if it's too good, no one will play Paper Magic anymore.
No.
Right? If you had the dream of an eternal format playing whatever you wanted, right? Would you still buy Paper Magic cards? Only for Commander, I guess, but like every other format. Like, I think Historic is just around so you have some excuse to do something with your standard cards after they rotate, but they don't want to be the main draw because you would just play it forever and not buy the newest standard cards, right? So they want it to be kind of mediocre, because how else could you explain this list? Like, this list feels like it was made by an intern who had to program the cards. So they're like, okay, wait, I'll just take half of it from an existing set that's already programmed, so I don't need to do it, right? And then, I don't know, I like Goblin equipment, so I'll put this one in, right? Like I don't know, this, how can it be so bad, right? It's gotta be they actively don't want Historic to be too good, because they want you to keep playing Standard, and they want to keep you buying Secret Lairs and stuff, right? So they just, like, giving you enough that's like interesting, but not too much, because yeah, they can put all the powerful cards in the format, right? It costs them nothing, right? So yeah, it's got to be something like that, because how else can you explain this?
I think it's also hilarious that they did the whole article and they're like, oh wait, that's only 24 cards. We saved the best for last. It's Death Shadow, the card that has literally never worked in any format without fetch lands. Didn't see standard play, doesn't see play in any format without fetch lands. So the, like, hyped card, I don't even know if it's going to work in Historic, because it's never worked in any other format that you can't, like, fetch up shock lands.
It must mean fetches are coming, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, right. That wouldn't happen. There's no way.
Oh, I hope they do. I hope we get fetches.
I mean,
just print Modern Horizons this summer. Modern Horizons 2 onto Arena.
We already have
I'd be down with that.
What Modern Horizon card here? Collected Conjuring, right? So just may as well get the rest of it on here. You've got the Merit
wrong
Lodge
collected.
Yeah. I mean, well, I do think that this list does seem kind of really suspicious. Like, why? This feels like they threw darts on some of the cards, but I won't be that upset. I mean, they put Think Twice on here, so I'm gonna shut up and flashback my Think Twice.
And yeah, I mean, we've been kind of like criticizing, I guess, talking down about this anthology a little bit. But honestly, even though I think it's a weak anthology, I'm definitely excited to like craft some harmless offerings and build around it. Inspiring Statuary enables some cool things. That's another card that I'll spend wild cards on. I think Merit Lage's Slumber is also a cool build around. I don't think it's going to be good because you're going to do it and then they're just going to like have the sacrifice deck's going to yoink your Merit Lage and just kill you with it. But it does seem fun. So there are some cards that I'm excited about. But yeah, I think this is one of the weaker historic anthologies we've seen so far.
Imagine just getting your 2020 claim the firstborn.
Claim the first. That's going to happen. That's going to actually happen.
It's not like that's a fringe card either or a not meta deck. Like that's a very likely line to happen.
Yeah, at least you don't have to watch them sacrifice. It always feels bad when they steal your creature and then sacrifice it. Merit Lage at least just kills you, so you don't gotta watch the rub-ins of them sacking your creature after beating you down.
I guess the silver linings of the situation. Yay!
Any other historic anthologies thoughts, or is it time to answer some fish mail?
Iceberg Cancrix, Sleeper.
Yeah, I mean, we have Ruin Crab.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna build a Snow Crab mill deck.
I mean,
I'm sure that someone will build it. I don't know.
I'm
if
already
good,
working on it. Trust me, that's the first thing I thought about.
Spider spawning is really sweet too, but I've never seen it be really sweet and constructed. It was one of the sweetest limited cards back from an original Innistrad, but it's maybe a little suspect for constructed. So we'll see. I'll probably try to build around spider spawning, but I don't have super high hopes that it's going to be fast enough.
You just gotta pair up against the person playing Goblin Sword of Body and Mind. Mill you into spider spawning.
Gaveleer player.
Get him.
You're gonna be so upset, Richard, when that whole archetype takes off. Shining swords and shouting goblins.
Also, the other deck I really want to build is a Sawtusk Demolisher. I didn't realize I had actually never paid any attention to this card. I think it came in the last Commander decks, maybe, but it blows up any non-creature permanent. So in theory, you can mutate off and blow up all your opponent's lands. Then they beat you down with a bunch of beasts and you die. But it is a way you can actually blow up your opponent's lands in Historic, which is sweet.
I mean, I guess.
Cards that never saw play in Standard. They're finally going to see play in Historic. Yes.
All right, Richard, read us some fish mail.
All right. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail. And we'll get to your questions on air. First question, Bicycle. How do you feel if WotC discontinued foils? It often feels bad to open rare foils because I know I won't be able to play them even in sleeves.
Okay, tinfoil hat time. Wizards is intentionally making foils bad because they want to switch over to sweet new art versions being premium cards, but they knew that the player base would freak out about losing foils because they've been around forever. So the bad foils is intentional to turn the community against foils so then Wizards can get rid of them and do more sweet like showcase stuff.
Damn, dude. Both you and Richard listen to a lot of conspiracy radio or something. It's like this.
Join us on the Conspiracy Podcast coming up right afterwards.
Where's the X-Files theme song? Like, let's just cue that for a second here, okay?
I'm with Seth. No, I'm with Seth for real though. Like, they're printing money, okay? Like, these cards cost like literally like 1 cent to print. If you like quadruple that, right? 4 times, that's still 4 cents that you're turning around and selling for like $50, right? Why can they not fix foils? Like, let understand, right? Like, other card games have foils. What is wrong with, like, what are they doing?
You're asking
and
the
Wizards
same
made good
company
foils for like
they did it
for like 25 years.
I mean, sure, they did it for 25 years, but like you're asking the same company that just, example, you expect them to plan like and be this like meticulous, like methodical, like machine that just knows this, but like they just literally banned a bunch of cards that they put out in their new set, like they're like, you know what I mean, like Simian Spirit Guide and all of that. So like I don't think that they're, I mean, like, no, you know, that coordinated to do that. Let's go with that.
They need to bring in a paper guy, like called Dunder Mifflin or something. Like, I got a problem. My foils keep curling. Can you fix it? I am sure if you throw money at it, you can fix this, right?
They need Michael Scott. That's the solution.
I mean, yeah.
Michael Scott for CEO of Wizards.
Michael Scott would probably be the person to like just without trying to accidentally stumble into the like what would be the fix.
But seriously, what if they discontinued foils? Crib, you actually like foils. Would you be sad if they, removed foils and in the slot of the foil put, I don't know, like the special bordered cards or something?
I mean, I'll always I do like foils, but only every now and then. They're not a huge draw for me, so I'm indifferent either way. If we lose foils, whatever, right? Because I mean, I still buy full art non-foil. So
I intentionally avoid foils too, so I'd be fine with it.
I like some cards in foil though. So I mean, it just like example, like maybe some of the Time Spiral Remastered old borders. I would want some of those in foil, but not all of them. And I would be a little sad, but because it's always been there. And I don't think they could ever do away with foils though, right? Because you think about like the card games that are out there that are super successful right now, like Pokemon had a crazy, I don't know, 400th win for the TCG, right? And now like you go to a Target and like you can't even actually just pick up boosters of Pokemon cards. Like they're just actually sold out. Even terrible sets are sold out. Like imagine like the Ixalan of Pokemon just like sold out, right? Like so the thing here is, and those card games and those TCGs have these box opening videos, these pack opening videos, and the draw are the foils. There's inverted foils, but whatever it is, I know that there's inverted, there's like secret foil, I don't know, whatever, right? Whatever it is, there's foils. So I think as long as Magic wants to like also make like kind of, because they'll want to cash in on that hype, right? Maybe a bit later, a bit late to the party, but they'll want to stay like on that hype train, right? That means that they'll still keep foils in the game no matter what.
The problem is the other foils look good.
I mean,
like it's not just like, they're actually like super special and look unique.
But isn't that what these foil special border, like, I don't know, mystical archives are? Looking better, but in foil too. I mean,
I feel like they have to do something though. They either got to get rid of foils or they got to fix foils, because we saw this with Kaldheim, where a lot of people wouldn't buy collector booster boxes because one of the gimmicks is like most of your cards are foil and the condition is so bad. So I think that maybe it's getting to the point where the foil quality is actually hurting Wizard sales. And that might be the thing that actually makes them do something. So I feel like they got to do something though. I feel like just constantly printing low quality foils and having people complain, like that can't be a positive for the game, right?
A real conversation somewhere. Ugh, I really hope I don't open a foil.
It's kind
pretty
of
much.
Yeah, the paper,
whenever I buy a secret layer, right? I'm like, I'll take the non-foil.
Don't be
version.
foil.
Thank
Don't
you.
be foil. Don't be foil.
Paper players have turned into old school Moto players. Yeah. no one likes foils anymore.
I mean, the foiling on Moto was pretty fire. Whew. It's pretty cool.
Next question. Desi Nohe. Do you think that the FF old iconic decks, I don't know what FF means, would be competitive if they directly ported into the modern format? Urnum-Geddon, Mono Blue Stasis, Prosperous Bloom, Replenish, Dimir Psychotog, Upheaval.
These sound like the championship decks. I don't know what FF stands for.
Yeah, I think it's probably championship decks.
Because FF reads as Fantastic Four to me, so...
I see Urnum-Geddon. I love that deck, but that is like too fair and too old to do anything useful. So I don't think that is playable.
What about the Simic Madness deck? Would that still be good?
Probably not. I mean, maybe some of the individual cards.
Upheaval would still be
cards would be good.
Very good.
Oh, Upheaval, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, Upheaval would probably be insane with all the ramp we got these days. Just like grow Spiral and Explore and then cast Upheaval and win.
Stasis?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what the Stasis deck had in it. Maybe. But I don't know. This is problem of like nostalgia and 2021 Magic does not go together. You just gotta play like insanely busted combo decks. And I don't even know if they'd be good enough anymore nowadays either. So, The one Okazaki. I think I'm with Richard on preferring original arts on putting newer cards in older borders. How do you feel about putting old/original pictures in modern frames? Original Shivan Dragon art in a modern frame.
The contrast would be a little A little intense.
Why? Why would we ruin something so beautiful and nostalgic and iconic by putting it in the putrid new frame?
What do you put in a Strixhaven frame? Or like an Amonkhet frame or something? So no to the generic frame. Or like a Future Sight frame. What if you put Shivan Dragon in a Future Sight frame?
I mean, so we're talking about the literal OG art, but with like a
OG
Future
art.
Sight frame. Like, I don't know.
Just any newer frame as a like, would you, let's say they made Future Sight remastered again for some reason because this previous set was the greatest thing ever, and they're giving this time is to put old original art into Future Sight frames. Would you be for it?
No. Can you imagine? I mean, like something like, I don't know. Yeah, like Shivan Dragon's one, but like the old artwork just with a new border just seems really off. It feels like I just gave it to my like kind of like my nephew to like draw on. I don't know. It feels weird.
I mean, I don't care. Like if people, I like the old borders, and I know a lot of people don't. So for me, it's one of those things where if there's people that want original art in the new frames, go for it. Like what does it hurt? But would I be interested in it? No. Like I would not even be a little interested.
More niche than this, right? Like what Time Spiral Remastered is now. If we're already worried about this being too niche, then that's even more so on the like in that spectrum.
All right, the big large. Since Wizards likes the cool factor that Cassius Marsh brings to Magic, would you want an NFL Beyond Universes set? The Bills may never win a Super Bowl, but maybe the Bills deck could take down a legacy GP.
Not as long as there's a Peyton Manning and the Broncos, because then John Elway and all of that would be amazing. Oh man, that'd be so cool. Terrell Davis like card. But then again, we're just now like, it's like we're just playing football cards, like sports cards, right? But whatever, sure. I would
We're playing the sports ball. Yeah. I'm a football player now. I play Magic football cards.
Well, every player would have to be a planeswalker, right?
So in an alternate universe, Tom Brady sits down, plays some Magic, gets Urrowed. Okay, he gets so mad. He's like, "Oh my! I can't believe I just lost to this like BS card." He buys Wizards of the Coast, puts himself in the game, and continues to win every like Grand Prix and Pro Tour for the next 10 years.
They've already printed Tom Brady. His name is Oko, and he's banned in every format.
I mean, I like football and I like sports, but I don't think I would want NFL Magic cards.
Seth, you're telling me
you laugh, but this is 100% happening. We're getting a sports set in the future. Battle Bond was kind of like the fake sports set, but they will have like some futuristic combat sports set at some point. No?
I mean, the sports card market is going insane. Like if there was a MTG Kobe rookie card, it would probably be selling for like $500,000 or something. So maybe Wizards should do that. Like just a crossover.
Oh man, that LeBron James just blew up my blood moon. A sentence that 2025 said. Yeah, you can actually get dunked on. Oh my gosh, I love it. I do want this Beyond the Universe Beyond. Just for that saying alone, I can actually dunk on people now in Magic Gathering.
All right. Dustin on my head. Okay, here's the deal. Richard Garfield solved the Eldraine problem years ago with Arabian Nights. 2-mana artifact, Castle in a Bottle. All cards from Eldraine must be discarded except Castle in a Bottle. We don't even have to rotate the set. What do you think?
I think there's also what I think for Fallen Empires, Apocalypse Chime, or maybe it's Homelands, but yeah, I don't know if I think it would be funny, but I don't know if that would actually be good. I think the big problem is it would incidentally blow up people's lands based on what version they chose. So if you just happen to be like, I don't know, I got whatever random Eldraine lands in my deck, you just get totally wrecked, which would be awkward, but
should have played around it.
That would be a weird choice to not be able to play a land art you really liked because you could get punished based on the set it's from.
I bet you it would do nothing. You would play like 4 Pithing Needles and call it a day. That deck is probably better than like a deck with no Eldraine in it.
Remember though, Richard, it would be a 2021 card, so it'll probably be like a 6/6 for 3 with an ETB trigger that does that or something.
Thought Caesar's on the way in.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. The Cane Train 22. What would it take to expand Historic Brawl into 1v1 Commander with Historic Legal sets? Despite being only 1v1, it seems like an easy way to get the Commander experience on Arena. I just want to play my Gitrog. Changing.
Wait, I think I. What, changing Brawl to what?
Historic Brawl into 1v1 Commander with Historic Legal cards. So I guess instead of 60 cards and I guess Planeswalkers, you can go to 100 cards with Historic cards.
I think that's probably a long shot. I do think that it's possible and maybe even probable that Brawl will become Historic based, but I don't know about going up to 100 cards. I've heard mixed things. This came up a little bit on Twitter, and there were some people who pointed out that they liked how that kind of differentiated the formats. Like Planeswalkers being legal, 60 card decks makes Brawl feel a little bit different. I don't know. Do you think there's really a benefit to going up to 100 cards? Like, what's the actual upside of doing that, really?
I don't have to cut cards.
Less consistent, theoretically, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but Commander nowadays is so consistent. I don't think that's even an argument anymore.
Well, it would depend, right? Because Commander has so many tutors, but Brawl wouldn't. Brawl would have Grim Tutor.
No, but like look at Yorion decks, right? Like you're almost all the way there already, right? And they're insanely
but you
consistent.
gotta play Singleton.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think that Brawl should not be focused on Standard. I think it should be focused on Historic. Whether that also means changing the rules to make it 100 cards and getting rid of Planeswalkers, I guess I don't have strong feelings about that, but I do have strong feelings that Brawl would be a lot better if it was based on the Historic card pool than the Standard card pool. And I actually just did a Twitter poll on this, and a huge, it was 65% of people said they would only play Historic Brawl if that was an evergreen option, and 2.9% of people said they would only play Standard Brawl if both were an option. So it seems like the community is hugely in favor of Historic over Standard Brawl.
There's a chance that, 2.9% of people might have also misclicked.
That is within the realm of possibility. Margin of error.
That guarantees Wizards won't do it, right? That means you'll just play Historic Brawl forever and not buy the new Standard cards.
But they could do Historic Brawl anthologies and give you Goblin Gaveleers and stuff.
Ooh, could I also get like Sword of Body in mind?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's
heard of. Yeah.
All right, that's all the time we have for Fishmail this week. Thank you to everyone who sent them in. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air.
And I believe that brings us to the end of episode 319 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So, Richard Grimm, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Card Conduit for supporting the show. And we will be back next week to talk about whatever goes down in the world of Magic. So, until then, have a great week, everyone. And this is the crew signing out.